you for coming on with Conversations with Robin. I have today Protegee of Purpose, the author of the Black Memorandum. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
When I first heard of the opportunity, I was like, sure.
Thank you. Well, listen, I have read your book. And
you have it.
and I love it. It is a book of poetry. But I do want to ask you, where did the name Protegee of Purpose come about?
Yeah. So I move by purpose, and I do believe that everyone has a purpose, including myself. So sometimes people don't know right off the bat what their purpose is. Sometimes people have to find out what their purpose is, but your purpose is it always belongs to you. And sometimes you have to be a student in that process. So protege just means follower or student. And so I'm a student of my purpose. And then also the female version of protege is protege. So that's where I came up with Protegee of Purpose, which just means a student, a follower, a pupil of purpose, of my purpose.
That's beautiful. That is
Thank
beautiful. I feel like we're students of life. We're constantly learning. And that, to me, I do believe that's why we are here.
Yeah, you know? I agree.
When did your love of poetry begin?
I would say in my high school years, I would write for therapy, not knowing at the time that's what I was doing. I would write out anything that I was thinking or feeling. I feel that I communicate better through writing, or I express myself better through writing. So I would say I started just doing it as a hobby in high school and really doing it in college, but I always kept it personal. It wasn't until my latter years, like around the age that I am now, during the pandemic, that I was encouraged or inspired to share that poetry with the world. So yeah, I would say during my high school years.
Did you, were you always journaling? Were you always were you that person just kind of writing and journaling and bringing?
Yes, because again, that was the way how I expressed myself. But it would be just off of something had to inspire me, whether it was something good or bad. So I think I always, I would answer yes. Okay. Yes, I would.
Okay. Do you have any favorite authors or poets that kind of influenced you along the way?
I know of some good poets, but I can't say that any of them were an inspiration, because I didn't really start studying until like my adult years, like during the pandemic. So I have read some of the great Langston Hughes poetry. Don't ask me which one it was, but
he was a great poet.
Yes, I did read some of his poetry, but I can't think of anyone off the top of my head, who I would say inspired me, because it was just my experiences and my emotions that inspired me. But I do intend to actually learn about some more, because I know it's some great poets out there. And then you got Maya Angelou. Come on, like everybody knows her. Like I love her poetry as well.
Yes. No, but I love that you said your inspiration came from your experiences.
And my personal emotions of life.
Right. So what inspired you to write the Black Memorandum? And is there a meaning behind it? especially with the
Yeah.
it's beautiful. Go ahead. Sorry.
Thank you. No, it's okay. Yeah. So, yes, there was an inspiration. Um, I have an uncle who had opened my eyes to actually really delving in and studying Black history, but not the Black history that we learned in school. Because if you don't know, it isn't a real truthful depiction of our history. Most times, our history gets depicted as starting from slavery, and that's not it. We did a lot of great things from ancient of days. And so, just delving into different scholars, historical scholars, I learned a lot, and I felt that it empowered me even more through just on a lens of self-esteem, like, you know what I mean? Not feeling that subconscious oppression, because sometimes we may not know that we're oppressed and we just go along with, why am I feeling this way? So that really helped me to open up and get solutions or get some answers as to why, I may have been subconsciously feeling a certain type of way, or to just break the shackles of mindsets that was imposed on us as a Black people or a Black indigenous people. So that was really my inspiration, just a lot of things that I learned from various scholars. I'm gonna use a quote from my uncle and my sister. They use that a lot, is believe everything. I'm sorry, no, consider everything, believe nothing. So it's just like you become a receptor of all types of information and learning. And so a lot of things that I learned about our history, about the economic systems and things like that, that was, it really impressed upon me. And I'm like, other people have to know this information. And then I was able to correlate it with my life just in general, like as I said before, my life experiences, and just become a source of encouragement to everyone. But I am focused my attention on the Black people or Black indigenous people. So yes, that's my inspiration. So I kind of did a little mixture, a little remix of history, life experiences in this book. And that's where the Black Memorandum come from. The Black meaning representing Black indigenous people, and the memorandum as, look, you need to get the memo, you need to hear these messages, and hopefully I'm encouraging you, inspiring you, empowering you, uplifting you, because that's what my mission is.
I would say from reading it, I feel like you've achieved it.
Oh, yay.
Like you're right. You have definitely, it's inspirational. It's a sense of empowerment, a sense of self-awareness. And you're right, because, our true Black history has not been taught in schools.
Nope.
And as you said, they started with slavery, but we have been years before that. And
had empires and
yes.
I mean, different type of systems, like, come on.
Yes. Because in one poem, I wrote it down, but I believe, I forget the title of it, but you did mention the kingdom of Kush. And I mean, I was taken away by that. So you are very inspiring.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I love the quote that you said, your uncle and your sister.
Yeah. I hear them. I don't think it's theirs originally, but they say it a lot. And I'm like, you know what? I like that.
Say it one more time.
Consider everything, but believe nothing. That just makes it where you're open to all types of information. And then with that information, you have a variety of things to look at to then come up to your own synopsis of what you feel in your heart and in your soul is for you.
Yes, thank you, thank you. While writing the Black Memorandum, did you learn anything unexpectedly or have any aha moments?
I learned about the business side of writing a book. I had a very good coach. I always like to, because there's no I in anything you do. You are the vessel, you are the power, but there's other people, things around you that helps to, enlighten that even more, enlighten the power that you already have in yourself and that you have. But I like to mention a poet. His name is Ambition the Poet. He was my coach, and he really helped me learn a lot about the business aspect of writing a book. He was given jewels that I didn't even think of. I'm like, to the point, if you let your lazy side, kind of take over, you're like, I have to do all that. Like, so I learned about the business side. I learned about myself. Well, yeah, I learned about myself, or things were confirmed about myself. So, working on not getting instant gratification, like making sure you do things properly and thoroughly, because again, you want a perfect result, a product such as the Black Memorandum. So it took patience. It confirmed that I need to have more patience and let go of the self-gratification that we all could, get caught in, instead of actually taking the time and enjoying the process. So I would take enjoying the process as a lesson that I've learned to actually be present in.
In the chapter, Watch Your Mouth.
Oh, Lord. Everybody tells me about that one.
Listen, my book is like highlighted. I have all these different highlights going on. I don't know if you can see it in here, but
yeah, I can.
I have all these notes because I'm a big highlighter. Like,
yes, there ain't nothing wrong with it. I love it.
So in that poem, Watch Your Mouth, you mentioned the word spell, which is for spelling, of course, but how magic lies within words. Use the word spell. A lot of people, I feel like, don't really know how words can transition into our actions and what we believe.
Yes.
We're literally putting it out in the universe.
Yes.
You want to touch on that?
Yes. Oh my goodness. So that's one of the things I learned in my studies about, like, I'm really into the etymology of words and like what the meaning was originally. Like, for an example, I'll use the word nice. Today we use nice as, something positive, something kind, or to say someone was not nice, meaning like, kind or whatever. But the original meaning of that word was ignorant.
I did not know that.
Yes, I didn't know. I know now, but I didn't know that either. And I was like, that was one of the things that had, that I took away. And there's a certain group of people that if you didn't know that, you wouldn't know in what context they're saying nice. So they can be like, oh, you're so nice, when they really say, oh, you're so ignorant. So if we don't educate ourselves about the etymology of these words, because like you said yourself, it holds power. And then it becomes your reality. Just like our names are vibrations that hold power. So I see why most parents, they, look up the meaning of what their child's name is before they name them, because you're, you know what I mean? If you have a child that their name is beautiful, you can tell them that, and that's going to empower them. You know that your name is beautiful, honey. You know that your name means warrior. So just like regular words that we use, it really is important to like really study and know what certain things mean, because it's used on us every single day in our laws.
Yes.
You know what I mean? There's like hidden languages in our laws. They know what it means, but we don't.
Right.
But we're acting what they want. We're acting their agenda through words.
Right.
And it's casting that spell on us. So
right. Wow, that's powerful.
Just like the word, I think there's a debate kind of with scholars about like, no, we're not Black. Don't say that we're Black, because it has such a negative connotation. If you look up in the word, and I challenge anyone, because I have looked up in the dictionary or thesaurus or etymology dictionary and look up what Black really means. And so that's why it means everything derogatory. You know, it really is a powerful word. It's just switched around. So watch those spells, watch those words. It really does matter.
Yes.
And so, and watch your mouth. That's what I was referring to, is like the names that we call one another. I'm pretty sure, let's just be real, in our own, households or close quarters, we say some things out of fun, call each other things out of fun. But you know what I mean? You want to at least have the knowledge, at least if you say that, know what intent, because the intent of which you use something or use a word is, it has power as well. Just like I didn't use the word in the book because I feel like it's not appropriate but the word, I think, well, maybe I did use it. The word nigger, there's a debate about that. Black people they switched it. They're changing that power around to a word of endearment, but in some ways it still holds a negative connotation to it. You know what I mean? So
yes,
to each his own, but just to have the knowledge of it.
Yes. So I have to say, with that word, you wrote it in the book. I can't remember if it was in that chapter or if it was in a different chapter. So I want to tell you a little bit about my background.
Yes. Okay. Yes. I love it.
My parents, my mom and my dad, they grew up in the 50s, 60s. So my mom, she went to, I think Lincoln University.
Okay. Yeah. I know.
And then she was one of few that integrated, I want to say her high school, I think. And so using that word, like I was not allowed to use that word at all coming up as a child, but all around me, people use it all the time.
Yeah.
Even still, it makes me cringe.
Yeah.
A little bit, and like you said, Black people have changed the power of using that word, but it still holds such a negative, and this is in my opinion, it still holds such a negative
connotation.
Yes, on it, so and like going back to just the words and spells, and so I feel like as people we have to be intentional with what we say, with what we do, how we think, with our thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And I like that you shared that story because, it's other people that have different experience. We all have different experiences from our childhood, from different words and things that we hear, different, backgrounds and things. And for you not to have been allowed to use that and then to hear it outside of you, I'm pretty sure you had to like do some digging and okay, do we use this or we don't? So I don't know what your yeah, exactly. What's your takeaway from meshing those together? Like not being able to or not being allowed to say it and then hearing like your friends or people around you say it?
So even now until this day, I can't say it.
Okay.
And that right there goes into childhood
Yeah.
stuff right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know there's a chapter because I do want to talk about that that you wrote about just childhood trauma kind of, and how that goes along and carries throughout our life. But yeah, I don't say it. You know, I just I cringe.
Yeah.
It's been so embedded in my mind. Like, no, you're not allowed to say stuff to say that.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. And thank you for sharing it. Before we move on to the next one about Watch Your Mouth as well, it was to bridge this competition, this gap between different groups of Black people. We're all Black. Yeah. We all, you know what I mean, come from the same soil, I guess you could say. Yeah. And so I have Trinidadian blood running. It's from Trinidad.
Okay.
And so, and I also have been around African people. We're all African, but I mean actual people from the continent. And what I've noticed is just this whole gap, this separation of mentalities towards one another, and it bothers me. Yes. And so Watch Your Mouth was about the same thing. Again, some things is all in fun. Like for an example, Caribbean people sometimes relate to Black people in America as Yankee. You know, you're a Yankee. You know what I mean? And it seems like it's always like a downplay or something. Right. And sometimes, again, it's like in fun, just like the word nigger, it's sometimes in fun. But just think about the intent when you do. Also, too, Black Americans had not always been nice to Caribbean, African people, other Black people from other continents and islands and things that comes over here. So we got to stop that. So that's the reason why. And then the whole thing with the old and the young, I think I really get into it with another poem in my book. But Watch Your Mouth is kind of like a collection of all those things. Like, we got to do better. We got to watch how we talk to each other. Yeah. Including myself. You know what I mean? I don't want to act like I'm Miss Perfect and I don't say things out of anger or sometimes, you know what I mean, out of habit, you know what I mean, whether it's for fun or not. We just got to do better because, like, we all, you know what I mean, why don't we just celebrate all our differences? Exactly. But it's really not our differences. It's just different. We're multifaceted people. Right. So while you got reggae, you have Cuban music, you have hip hop, they all come from us. Right. So, you know what I mean? We all bring like a family. Everybody's bringing their own dish, and you don't want to not have your dish because, you know what I mean? It won't be the same. The party won't be the same if you don't bring your dish. Everybody just bring your dish and wear the clothes that you want to wear and hush. Right. And unify.
Right. Just mix it all in.
Yeah.
And that's what makes us who we are.
Exactly.
You were so right. Exactly. I remember being a child. I remember going, I want to say in elementary school.
Yeah.
People would say some real, looking back, and I think as I was there at the time in that moment, I didn't recognize it. But looking back, you know, a lot of people around me would say some real mean stuff about Africans from the continent or Caribbean people that just came over to the US, you know, and it's like, why put everyone down? We are who we are, and we all come from Africa.
Yeah.
So I love that chapter.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm glad, because I felt like that one was like a little bit of a controversial one, you know what I mean? But I still feel like it needed to be said. The power behind it, the intent that I had behind it. Yeah. I'm glad that it was received well by you.
Yes, yeah. I mean, and it happens still to this day, I feel.
Oh, yeah.
With the whole,
yeah.
We have to unify.
Yeah.
And I feel like people nowadays are coming together.
Yeah, I do see that. I do want to highlight the positive too. Like there are communities, there are some of us that are, you know what I mean, putting all those things aside and actually unify. And then you can even start within your own family. That's what I'm practicing. Like, you know what I mean? Just within your own family, unifying with your, that's where strength is in numbers.
Yes.
So
You want to change the world, start with yourself.
yeah.
So it's like start with yourself, start with your children, start within your own family, and each
Yep.
one goes out, like each one teach one.
Exactly.
I love how you do that.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay, so we really spent some time on that one.
Yeah.
uh, the meditate chapter.
Mm-hmm.
What did that chapter mean for you? Do you meditate?
I do.
Okay.
Now, here's because I'm going to be real throughout this whole thing.
Yes.
Um,
Please.
I am practicing to be more consistent with it. So I do, but I'm working on being more consistent with it. Yeah, meditation is a great thing. And I think many people, because I remember I once did, feel like meditation, you have to do all this extra stuff. Meditation is just meaning to be aware. Again, I can't help but think of an uncle of mine that is like really opened my or brought my horizons to the exposure to these types of things and teachings through different scholars and things like things that he's learned or whatever. Mm-hmm. But meditation does not always mean that you have to like that. That's a practice. There's nothing wrong with it because that is a soothing thing when you make those noises. So it definitely does have its place. Mm-hmm. But it's just really about clearing your mind and going back to what we were saying about being present. That's really what it helps you to do. And most people don't know that we have a power within us that most people don't ever get to reach. Yes. So meditation for me and how it goes into my life is a practice to get to your higher self. Yes. Just means higher thinking, a better person. Meditation does a lot. Those are just a couple of things that it helps you do. And like people have different methods of doing it. And the funny thing is, I'm just seeing your background of like, I saw all this time, but it's just like, aha, now that we're talking about meditation, I think my mind just went like, yeah. So people believe and know about the chakras and things like that. And this really means different energy parts in our bodies that we don't always get to tap into. And it does great things for us. Like we can do beyond powerful things that we don't really even know about. So I won't talk about that. I would encourage people to go research that. Yes. And, see what meditation actually does. But I hear a lot of people now more than ever. I've never seen so many people doing different types of meditation, using singing bowls, yes. Talking, teaching people about breathing, the way how you breathe. A lot of times we breathe wrong. I know I do. I'm still working on my shallow breathing.
That whole breath work, like I'm
yeah.
It changes, they say it changes the nervous system as well.
It does stuff to your physical body.
How you said you're practicing doing it more and being more committed to it, right? Because it takes work. It takes time. I've heard of people that's been doing it for years. And you're right, it's not all about the and that vibration, but it's also just sitting in a noisy room and knowing how to just be one with yourself.
Exactly.
That's huge.
Exactly.
It's huge, and
exactly.
And not only canceling out the noise, but it's just everything starts with self-awareness too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it helps you learn how to respond to things. I want to bring a point that you were just saying about like even in an atmosphere where there's a bunch of noise or something like that, you'll be able, meditation, when you practice it well enough, you'll be able to center. It doesn't matter what's happening. Like the whole world can be in chaos. You'll be able to center yourself and respond instead of like reacting to the situations around you. So it really is beneficial.
Do you have any spiritual practices? Which meditation would be one? Do you have any other spiritual practices that you do?
It's also taking in what you see. So like sometimes we're just so used to running and going. When we get in a car, we hop in the car, get out. Sometimes I sit and I'll think about, what do I really hear? Like trying to identify certain sounds that you hear other than the ones that's right there. You know what I mean? So of course you're going to hear a car, but what's some sounds that you may not really have paid attention to? Like the sound, that's how I learned the sound of a cardinal. That's one of my favorite birds. I would sit outside and now I'm able to identify what, I don't have to see it yet. I'll hear it. And you know what I mean? I'm able to identify the sound of a cardinal. Now, what I did learn is that in nature, sometimes it's copycat. So it's some birds that copycat off of, I've sounded like sparrow. That's not your song. Like, why are you singing the cardinal song? So like I have noticed that, but little things like that, or even with listening to music, a lot of times I've gotten training in listening to the not so obvious sounds in music. So just little things like that just helps you with your awareness.
Wow, that's beautiful. Especially the whole birds with the nature and listening.
Yeah,
specific.
I love to be out in nature.
Yeah. That right there's another meditation too.
Yep. Yes, I that's one of my favorites actually. Just to get out there, it's just really, just soon as I'm out there, it's just like it changes. I can be angry or something. It doesn't necessarily take the anger, like zap away. And sometimes it have, but you know what I mean? It's just like you can kind of sit with it and actually think logically about things.
Yeah, that grounding, that whole grounding. I wanted to touch on, you mentioned a little while ago with people not realizing the power that we have within ourselves. You know, I think environment, people have too much going on. They're in their heads a lot. I know I am a lot of the time too. But if we can just tap into that higher consciousness and higher awareness, it's powerful. We can change our whole our lives, our perspective, and that's so important.
Yes. You can change your conditions.
Yes.
I think about, because people don't know that they're already doing it. Think about every day, if you're a person that always has to worry about how you're going to pay a bill.
Right.
I'm still practicing that I was taught and trained to actually focus more on the solution and not, oh gosh.
Yes.
It's due on the 1st and I don't have it. I don't know where it's coming. So I still do it, but I have the awareness that I don't have to do it that way anymore. And it takes practice because we're so used to, thinking about the negative stuff. Just meditation and being able to tap into those powers that we speak of will help you to be able to change your conditions and certain things like that. You're already doing it because once you find a way to pay the bill, you know what I mean? And without knowing it, you meditated on, how am I going to pay it? But maybe now with higher thinking is not focused so much on the problem that you don't have it, and think about how it feels when you have it and you've been able to pay it. You know what I mean? This was all taught to me. So it's not just, things that I'm just spewing off. I'm spewing it off because now I'm actually putting it into practice.
Right.
Took me some time and I'm still, reaching for higher, but it just helps you with your condition. It helps you, like I said, how you respond and interact with people to help your relationships.
Right.
So
then that brings me to, I land you to island you.
Yeah.
I love that because that was such a meaningful poem. But I love how you write about the importance of self-love and just being in the awareness of knowing that it starts within ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Um, did you have, is there anything that you want to say on that about that poem? Like,
Sure, yes. So I land you the island. Yeah, that was one of my passionate. That's one where when I actually was writing it, I was just feeling just passionate that day. I remember where I was, and when we think about it's a love poem,
mhm,
but it incorporated self-love and um, loving another person, personal, intimate relationships and things. And a lot of people say, it starts with yourself, and that's true. You need to love yourself.
mhm,
But I read, and not verbatim,
mhm,
but it implied, how do you know to love yourself if you've not been loved or learned to love yourself?
mm,
So a lot of people will say, like, you don't need to be in a relationship if you don't love yourself. To a degree, I definitely agree with that.
mhm,
But I also heard, I forget where, and I know I'm referencing, and I should reference where I heard it from, but
mhm,
it escapes me at the moment.
mhm.
When you enter into a relationship, it actually adds to your self-love if you're doing it right, because you're learning more about yourself, areas where you need to improve in your self-love. And
Mm,
it's not always bad, you know what I mean? But it could be good things. It could be things that highlight what you love about yourself, because every relationship that you have is going to teach you something else. So just when you think you have it wrapped up, and you
right.
get into another relation, that new person is going to teach you something that, that you didn't think about. And so this is what it was, a podcast that I heard that from. I don't want to say it as if it's my own words, but it really did resonate with me.
Okay.
I agree that you need to have self-love, but I do not agree that you shouldn't be with anybody. You know what I mean? I feel like you should have a certain level of self-love, because then otherwise you just self-destruct and then destroy that person. So yes, don't get into anything until you get to the level of knowing and being open and receptive to changing yourself, or evolving yourself, not changing, evolving yourself,
Right.
and not bringing traumas to another relationship. So that's why I land you to the island. I'm talking about purposeful loving, purposeful relationships.
Mhm,
So, because it does start with you, you have to have a purposeful relationship with yourself. And then when you get into a relationship with someone else, it just makes it that much better. And if both of you are being reciprocal to one another, then that's when you have that powerful love.
yes.
And
Yes.
it's beyond, we all enjoy the physical part, but it's beyond the physical. So I'm not like discrediting the physical, but it's I land you to I land you is about helping one another to heal, or assisting, because you have to do it yourself. But it is always nice to have someone on that journey, so you're not on it alone.
Right. Right. I love that. I love that. Um, I feel like each person that we meet in our lives, if it's for
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes, if it's for 5 hours, if it's for
Mm-hmm.
5 years, we have some sort of energy exchange with that person. So it's like, why not leave them with a part of you to help them love themselves or love you?
Yes, I love that. Yes.
Mhm. There's a reason for
Yes.
everything. There's a reason
Yep.
why we all meet, you know? Um,
Mm-hmm. 100% agree. I talk about a lot about that in like my regular conversations sometimes, like, okay, what did this person mean? Sometimes it's not something like extravagant. A lot of times I think we put this extravagant idea in our head that they're there, but sometimes it's just really simple.
right.
And I do agree. You don't meet people by accident, or
That's
you don't interact with people by accident.
yes. Yeah. I love that. Again, that's one of my favorites
That's one of your favorites.
as well. I'm like highlighting all about that book. And then now I'm like, oh, okay, I have Christmas ideas, and I need to gift people I have a lot of people that I want to gift this book to.
Oh, yay.
It's such a great book.
Thank you. I love that.
Yes.
That makes me feel like, speaking of purpose, that I'm walking into my purpose, not just about, oh, I wrote a book. Is that doing this book was self-growth for me as well.
Yeah.
And helps me to fulfill what my purpose is, So I love that. Thank you. I'm really glad you enjoyed it.
Yes, yes. Back in my day, that chapter, love how you highlighted the topic of generational trauma through your writing, but also how it affects the child and the next generation coming up because the lack of self, as well as going even deeper. You mentioned even sometimes being embedded in our DNAs, which is so true, I think, especially culturally as well. And it's like, how do we break that generational trauma? And like I said before, each one teach one, it begins with ourselves. And I feel like a lot more people nowadays are having that conversation.
Yeah.
And the world is changing. I feel like we have a lot to do. We have a lot more to do, but I feel like it's changing.
Yeah. I agree. I agree that there's some changes being made and a lot more people are being awakened to things that needs to be corrected, Yeah.
Yeah. I want to add, by reading your book, you seem to be such a passionate, conscious, creative soul. I would think that is why you're able to pour out so much love of yourself authentically into this book as well. I know you've mentioned, your uncles, your sister in the book, your family. So you had community around you. Like,
yes.
Would you?
Yes. Yes, I have.
How important is that?
It is extremely important. That's one of the values that I depict in my book as well. Community. That can be through family, because a lot of us don't always have family, though we have family because family is what you make family, if that makes sense.
Right.
So community, however you have it, is really, really important. It is, as I said earlier in the interview, that there's strength in numbers. You can be successful by yourself, but if it's a group of you all successful, to build the empires, they believed in community. This is how pyramids were made. Just those great things. One person couldn't do that. So community is definitely important. You need that system. It's not always peach and creamy. I don't want to depict that either, but it's through those disagreements, those, rivalries at the moment, they happen. It's about working through them and figuring out what you could have done better, even if it's just something within yourself. Doesn't necessarily always mean what you could have done better to them, but it's good to be open-minded and be honest about, your part in your negative or your positive contribution, for a lack of a better term, because we all do it. You know what I mean? There's always something that we may have said or done that hurt someone. We all hurt someone and someone has hurt us. But community is about, okay, we have this issue right here. However, we got a bigger goal. We all have the same vision. And in the community, that's what builds a community, is having the same vision. Right. So yeah, community was definitely important through the good and the bad.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Spina. Thank you.
Yes.
you talk about how living with it has not defined you, but yet has strengthened you. And by having community around you that supports you, that has made those people as well, has made you who you are today.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that was beautiful. And just
Yeah,
and pouring that into the book it shows. It really does.
yeah.
So that,
Thank you. Thank you so
yeah.
much. I can't wait for you all to read the book because I share some actual experiences that I've had um, that help build me. When you have a uh, an experience, because I don't like to. I've started moving away from saying disability again back to words that has power. It makes me feel like you can't do something.
Yes.
And I'll speak about my grandmother and my mother specifically on this one. They're the ones that taught me to keep my head up because I've seen them have their head down all the time, and then it affects me. And so now, in their strength and holding their head up, they've invited me to hold my head up. Every time I put my head down, I'm like, okay, no, I hear my girl, put your head. Not everybody's looking at you negatively because you have crutches or, you know what I mean? A lot of people. And once she said that, and I started walking a little bit different, not literally, but I mean, like, thinking a little bit more different. And this is when I was little.
Yeah.
I started seeing that people actually were admiring my strength.
Mm.
And I didn't know that I was walking around with it. You know what I mean? So yeah, spina bifida put me through some things, but we're becoming good friends now. We're still working through things, but we're becoming good friends.
I love that you mentioned that about your grandmother. You have that voice in your head. When I read that in the book, I was like, oh, that is so powerful.
Yeah.
That is powerful. So if I can, I want to say that in my head too. If I can have that takeaway.
Yeah, yes, have it. I'm sharing it.
Thank you.
Yes.
In your conclusion poem, I love how you seamlessly combine all of the titles of each poem and created a beautiful ending of a poem.
Yeah, thank you.
It's like the words just flow, I guess, from your thought process, and you do it in such a seamless, beautiful way. So I've truly enjoyed your book.
I'm glad. I really am glad.
Yeah.
And I can tell the genuineness. I'm so glad.
What would you tell your younger self?
Change your mindset. Things aren't always as bad as they look or seem or feel. Change your mindset. Change your perspective. That's even better. Change your perspective. Things aren't as bad as they think, feel, or look all the time.
Okay. I love that. Is there anyone in your life that has inspired you throughout your journey?
Yeah, I mentioned them throughout this interview. My family, my mom, my grandmother, I highlight them, and my sister, my uncle, and I don't want anybody to feel left out. They see this interview. You didn't say my name, no. And all of you all know who you are. Not that they would. I'm joking around, but that and just people that even if you were in my life for 5 minutes, as we just said, or for a season, the bullies in school, thank you. You know what I mean? But yeah, definitely the people that I had mentioned, my mother, grandmother, sister, and uncles.
Yeah.
I got a lot.
You're definitely blessed to have that support system.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So what is next for Protégee of Purpose?
People want me to write another book, but I'm like, I don't know. Well, I have started writing. I've been wanting to write a children's book, kind of doing the same
Oh,
thing as
wow.
Black Memorandum, but in a child appropriate way.
Okay.
Um, I was a preschool teacher about for 8 years.
Mm.
Um, I stopped working in 2018 to be an entrepreneur, to be, with my family in real estate investing, and then kind of doing my own little ventures with this book. And it's a couple of, I had an e-commerce store that
Mm.
I'm working to, get back together. But right now, maybe looking at a children's book soon. So we'll see.
Okay. Okay. I look forward to it then.
A good portion of it written already. I just got to finish it.
Okay. Okay. Well, it sounds like you have a lot that you are juggling.
Yeah.
It sounds like you are constantly going.
Yeah.
That's
Yes, that is the truth. Yeah.
Well, thank you for taking some time out and being on Conversations with Robin. I have truly enjoyed this conversation. And again, the Black Memorandum, I love, and I will continue to gift it, because I think everyone needs to read those poems.
I
And
appreciate that. Thank you so much.
yeah, continue.
And if you're in Philly, I have a book signing. You can check out my social media at Protegee of Purpose LLC on Instagram. And I'm working on my YouTube, so not that, but yeah, Instagram. Yeah, I have a book signing on November 11th. So if you're in Philly, check out my Instagram to get details on that.
Yes, 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 of course. All right. Well, thank you so much. Continue shining your light.
Thank you. And thank you. You do the same. I'm so proud of you with this podcast. Like, I love it. Thank you for having me. Thank you for considering me, and joy and prosperity to you sincerely.
Thank you. Same to you. Thank you.
You're welcome.